Bryn, I'm glad you're here. I need to talk to you.
What's going on? You look pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just... about those 90 Drake scales. I know Arya said we don't need them, but she just doesn't understand. It's dangerous out here, you know? Especially now that these Surgeborn are loose. We need to be prepared for anything. It's just gnawing in the back of my head. Do you think you could do it?
You haven't told me why we need them, or better yet, why we need 90.
We want the best gear and weapons, don't we?
So Sola asked for these?
Not exactly. They have other uses too.
Seriously, when's the last time you slept?
Kashar don't need as much sleep as Ashar or Cassel.
But you need some sleep.
It's been a while. Maybe 10 days. Or a week. I'm fine.
I'm guessing Aurea doesn't know you want me to go Drake hunting. Do you really think it's a good idea for us to go behind her back?
It looks bad, but she just doesn't see what I'm seeing.
To be honest, I'm not sure I see it either.
Please, just trust me.
Kaz, you need to tell me what's really going on here. I want to help, but the Drake scales? The Weaver Band is okay. More than okay. We're in the best shape we've been in since we entered the Enclave, now that we've made contact with the Heartsiders. Besides, the caravan is looking pretty full. It's not making sense.
You think I'm insane?
No, of course not.
Era's breath. I shouldn't have brought this up. Ugh. But you just don't understand. Everyone could die if I don't... It would be my fault.
Whatever this is, please just tell me what's going on.
No. I shouldn't have burdened you. Sorry, just... go.
But Kaz...
I can't talk about this anymore.
Casmin is not okay. And I don't think bringing her more stuff... Hey, Aurea. About Casmin.
I know. I'm worried too. So is the rest of the band. Let's talk at the archive, privately. I'll join you and Lane in a moment.
All right. Hey. You all right?
Yes. There's something I should have told you. So I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Is it common for Oberon hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother is a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways, and in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream. But the circumstances of our encounter? Not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
This is definitely a twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
I guess you and your mother have that in common.
Huh. You might be right.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you. This is a little out of the ordinary, but the spindle gave me a key swatch. Or rather, she dropped off a letter with one enclosed on my desk in the camp. No one saw her come in or out.
Why not just hand us the key swatch at Cassidy's hold?
According to her letter, what she's asking us to investigate is highly confidential.
So, chances she was authorized to give us this key swatch are...
Slim to none.
Where does it lead?
Starlight Cape. An island outpost that was abandoned following the surge. Strange sightings were reported from the mainland. However, the Hearthsiders couldn't afford to send scouts.
That's why the spindle thought of us.
We are notorious for probing arcane mysteries.
So, what do we know about Starlight Cape?
Not much. It's a small island to the Enclave's northeast, just inside the Vale. It was fortified to watch the sea lanes, though not as heavily as Cassidy's. The rocky shore was a natural barrier to landing. Though I do recall the smith in my mother's band telling me that he'd never seen a clearer night sky than at Starlight Cape. These small islands rarely have much lamplight due to the fact that so few people live on them.
Huh. What kind of sightings are we talking about?
Apparently, the island's defining feature is an observatory at the top of its mountain. Over the years, several scouts had reported moving lights over the peak.
Why was Starlight Cape abandoned?
Winds are always stronger on the coast, and the dramatic weather following the surge made the island inhospitable. Its military personnel were redeployed as civilian relief. And though at one time a bridge connected the island to the mainland, it was destroyed in the earthquakes.
So it's only accessible by Loomgate. Happy to check it out.
Good. Here's the key swatch. It's safe to say Casmin hasn't been acting like herself. She's always been tightly wound, but this is something else.
Bryn, she seems more open with you than most. Can you describe in detail what's abnormal about her behavior?
She's begging me for more supplies, even though the caravan is chock full.
Not that we could tell because she's covered it up.
More than that, she just seems distressed. She's always talking about worst-case scenarios, and lately it's like she's convinced we're all going to die.
I have heard rumors of abnormal behavior developing in Kashar that could be linked to this.
What kind of rumors?
In polytheistic beliefs that are pervasive in the southern part of the Maida, there is an affliction known as Ira's plague. The sufferer is haunted by twisted visions of death and pain. The goddess of justice, Ira, won't allow the sufferer inner peace until they repent through scrupulosity.
Scrupulosity? What is that exactly?
Oh, my apologies. I forget most people don't follow UD in eschatological study. Scrupulosity can be best described as a series of repetitive acts that one is compelled to do. For example, if Kasmin is plagued by relentless images of our band dying from exposure,
She might send our point out over and over again to retrieve supplies.
yes, in order to dispel the horrific visions.
Are you seriously suggesting Kasmin is... what? Possessed?
Of course not. I'm confident that this is merely a stigmatized phenomenon that could not be explained through facts or science. So the populace explained it through religious folly instead.
Any ideas what facts could explain it?
Not yet.
I didn't realize Kasmin was spiritual. Is she really trying to hide these visions from us?
Though not devout herself, Kasmin grew up with a strict Ashar mother.
You're right, she did.
It's possible Kasmin's affliction was a point of shame or contention between them. Perhaps she fears rejection if she shares her experience with us.
Kashar. What does Ira's plague have to do with them?
While most see Kashar as a celebrated merging of the two cultures, some fringe sects disagree. They believe the wider lineage simply leads to more ancestral sin that must be atoned. And thus, only Kashar can be afflicted.
Really? Where do you land?
The concept of impure lineage is clearly hogwash. But I suspect the affliction could somehow correlate to the Kashar's unique physiology.
All right. Kasmin is suffering. We need to do something about it.
And preemptively? No exorcisms?
As I said, this is likely nothing more than a condition that has been stigmatized by religion. A scientific explanation must exist, and thankfully, we are in the heart of progressive thinking.
You think the Enclave could have done research on this?
Makes sense. Where should I start looking?
The steps in the upper city is where I'd start. Between the main building of the spire and the atrium used to stand a school for alchemists. From your explorations, the surge hit that area pretty hard, but some of the building may still be standing.
Great. What am I looking for?
Maybe the name of someone who suffered like Kasmin, or a healer who treated the condition. If you find someone like that, you'll want to search the areas of the city where they spent time. Ira's plague is wildly misunderstood across the Maida. If we could find a treatment, it could help more than Kasmin.
You're right. I'll start with the steps, then expand my search. How are you settling in, Eric? Things going well?
Good. Yeah, they're fine.
Just good?
No, not really. Something's going on at the hold, and it's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The Eye publicly scorched you for opening up Asylum, and yet I've heard him telling the Spindle that this could be a good thing. Meanwhile, the runners are stretched paper thin keeping supplies moving. Which, of course, leaves my people no time to deal with actual threats.
Sounds like you could use some help. What's the problem?
Really? Oh, dancing winds, where to start? No, wait, I know. The Spitfires. A particularly aggressive group seems set on spreading through Denevron. In particular, they're building nests in some areas I was hoping to use as training grounds, but we had to pull out due to the risk.
Would the areas be safe if I took care of the nests?
Yes, though the nests are very durable. They will turn brittle if you get them cold enough.
Consider it done. Anything else?
Maybe an odd request. Could you ask Oria if I could power the scry while you're tackling them?
Why not ask her yourself?
I feel like I have a lot to learn from Oria and how she works with you. And it's strangely intimidating to admit that to her directly.
She is a force of nature. I get it. I'll ask. Hi, Oria. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes. Kaz, what's going on with the caravan?
What are you talking about?
You've got the shutters closed, even though it's practically bursting with supplies.
Just doing some reorganizing.
Bitter cold. And everywhere. Aeroliths acting up again.
I wonder if the plants have adapted to endure sudden frosts like these.
Remember, Bryn, the spindle needs you to harvest a resonance from one of these massive arcs.
perhaps this will be enough to dispel her nerves.
Only one way to find out. Arya thinks her father could have a statue in the Enclave just like her mother. So, I'm looking for a male Oberon that fits our timeline. Tangles, as far as the eye can see. Arya's father is unlikely to be a Casil woman. Besides, when it comes to nurturing parental figures, Ramenos's shrewd eye for politics isn't what comes to mind. As impressive as Auria's lineage may be, we're 200 years off the timeline for Arden to be her father. Not to mention the lack of feathers. This must be the statue of your mother that the spindle mentioned.
One of the greatest enchantresses of her time.
That's a lot to live up to. This statue does depict an Oberon, but it's impossible to tell who it is.
Maybe there's another statue that isn't damaged.
I'll keep looking around the city.
Isn't that the same Oberon statue you found in the atrium?
Maybe if I burn the vines, I'll be able to see who it is. Matteo Agretius, known for his acts of bravery following the surge. Could this be your father, Aurea?
Perhaps. Arakim might know how to confirm.
Not much of this building left, but looks like it's my lucky day. This tome's titled Disordered Thinking and Mental Anguish. Looks there. An insert says, a herbalist in the market found success treating a variety of patients suffering from these types of afflictions. Better search the market next. A ledger belonging to the herbalist that owned this stand. There are notes on all kinds of afflictions, both physical and mental, that were treated here. It looks like they asked one patient with symptoms similar to Casmin to keep a diary during treatment. I wonder if I could track it down. He lived in the lower city. A diary. The man it belonged to details all his anxieties and intrusive visions. I wonder if Casmin could relate to him. It's hard to think about her experiencing all this alone. He mentions that he also sought help at the Hallow Pyre Rise. I should check the temple for more information. I wonder if it might document something similar to Era's plague. If Casmin really believes she's been cursed or afflicted, no wonder she's trying to keep it to herself.
The moving lights were spotted at the top. Should be no trouble for a coal handler. The Shrouded Grove is a dense thicket that sits between the plains and the sea. Quite dark beneath the tree cover.